Hello dear children, how are you all? Hope you all are fine and doing well. My name is Naresh, welcome to our channel Physics Plaza. Children, in today's session, we are going to discuss entire upthrust in a single session. In a shortcut, how can we prepare for examinations? Only important concept which we are going to cover in this session. Okay dear children, let us start first dear children. Before going to discuss about upthrust here, you must know that what is thrust. What is thrust dear children? Thrust is nothing but force only. If it is nothing but force dear children, then why we need to use special name called thrust actually? Why we need to use a special name called thrust actually? Children, what is thrust? Children, if you can take any like a surface like this, the force which is acting perpendicular to the surface, the force which is acting perpendicular to the surface is called actually thrust. But children, then what is upthrust? What is upthrust? For example, let us take this is an object. If I leave it, what will happen? A force is acting vertically downwards, no doubt about it, but it is acting vertically downwards only. But we are going to discuss thrust which is acting upwards. So when this upthrust will act, what is upthrust and who is responsible for upthrust? Let us see dear children. So here let us consider, here is a vessel in which some fluid, that is a liquid, is taken. Children, in this, for example, what you can take like a football. So when you try to immerse football, this football into the water, then what we have to do? We have to exert some force so that we can immerse the ball into the water. The moment when you can withdraw water, what will happen? Again the ball will come out as if somebody is like hiding in the water and they are pushing vertical upwards. Do you think that somebody is hiding in the water? It is not at all that here. It is not at all that. But here, what is happening here? Who is responsible here for this force which is acting upward? Is actually fluid. So children, then how to define upthrust here? So when a body is immersed partially or wholly in a liquid, what is happening? It experiences an upward force, vertical upward position. It experiences an upward force is called upthrust. So then what is the buoyancy? So this upthrust is actually it's one of the important properties of fluid children. So it is a property of a fluid. It is a property of fluid only. That property of fluid only we can call it as actually means when a body is immersed partial or wholly in a liquid, what happens? The liquid has the ability to lift the body vertically upwards. So that property only we can call it as a buoyancy. Now the thing is that how can we measure the buoyancy force? How can we measure the buoyant force? So what are the units? Now we'll see the SI units of upthrust. Children, the SI units of upthrust are Newton, whereas the SCG's units of upthrust are dyne. Children, how Newton and dyne are related? Children, we know that 1 Newton is equal to 10 power 5 dyne. And children, one more very important thing is what actually? Upthrust is a vector quantity. Now we will see on which factors does the upthrust depend. We will see now. Dear children, buoyant force will represent with FB. So children, here buoyant force mainly it depends on 3 factors. So it is volume of the immersed part of the body and density of the liquid and acceleration due to gravity. So with that only we will get FB is equal to VI rho L G. It's very important. Now let us see how it depends on volume of the body immersed and density of the liquid. Children, let us see the example. It's very important. Look at here. Children, here a liquid is taken in a vessel. Look at here, children. So here a body is immersed like this. A body A and a body B is immersed like this. It is a body B. Children, try to understand here, try to observe the immersed part. It's very important. It's the immersed part. So here in which case actually immersed part is more children? In the case of B. So it is experimentally proved that there will be a more buoyant force acting on a body B than that of body A. Which means what here? Buoyant force. Children, here is the same liquid. In the same liquid, here the volume of the immersed part is different. As the volume of the immersed part is different, dear children, here what will happen here? Buoyant force also will be acting more only. So we can say that buoyant force is directly proportional to the volume of the body immersed. Now let us take one more example. Children, let us take here is river water. It is river water. And here is, let us take here is the sea water. It is a seawater. Children, here now let us say here at a given same depth, let us say here body A of volume V and in a seawater body B of same volume. Children try to understand here. Two bodies of same volumes are immersed at the same depth, but in which case more buoyant force will act. Let us say here the force of buoyancy acting is F1 and force of buoyant acting is F2. So what you can say, do you think that F1 is equal to F2? No, it is not that, children. It is not that. See here volume might be same, but don't you think that the density of river water and density of sea water is different? Of course it is a different. So we know that density of sea water is greater than that of the density of river water. Density of sea water is greater than the density of river water. Then it is noticed that here F2 is greater than F1. F2 is greater than F1, which means what, dear children? More the density of the liquid, more the buoyant force. Less the density of liquid, less the buoyant force. So we can say that buoyant force is directly proportional to the density of the liquid. Density of the liquid is very important. That is the reason, dear children, it is very easy to swim in the sea water than that of the river water. Why it's a very easy? Why do we feel more comfort in the sea water than that of river water? Because the moment when we are swimming in the sea water, as the density of sea water is more buoyant force will act on the swimmer, so that he is lifted much, so that he can swim very easily in the sea water than that of the river water. Okay, dear children? Fine. Now, dear children, I have one simple question for you all. It's very important, and I can say that it is an application part. It is an application part of this only. The question is that, dear children, here is a liquid is taken in a vessel such a way that here two solid spheres, children, two solid spheres of same radius r. Two solid spheres of same radius. It is solid A, it is solid B. But thing is that here A is made up of with wood, whereas B is made up of with, let us say, iron. Children, both are immersed such a way that the depth is same. Both are immersed at the same depth. Children, try to understand. Then in which case more buoyant force will act? Whether more buoyant force will act on what we can say iron sphere, or it is a sphere made up of with wood. Just you think, means what is the ratio between the what we can say buoyant forces which are acting on wood and iron? Children, surprisingly, dear children, you know the answer is 1:1. The answer is 1:1 only. Means here whatever the buoyant force is acting on iron ball is same on even the wood also. Then what is the reason? Children, here you may think, so many students may think that more buoyant force will act on a wood because it is a lifted something. Means you may think in terms of density. You may think in terms of density. In a question, if it is given like this, which solid sphere will sink? There you can write iron will sink. That is different, children. But here we are talking about a buoyant force. Children, buoyant force depends on only volume of the body immersed. Children, here the spheres are having same radius. As spheres are having same radius, the volume of the spheres are same only. So here for a same given liquid, same volume of the solid. So obviously what will happen, children? The buoyant force acting on the two solid spheres, one is made up of with wood, another one is made up of with iron, is same. That is 1:1 only. Okay, children, just copy it. Children, now we will discuss a very important is Archimedes principle. Most wanted, and it's very important. So what is the Archimedes principle? Children, in a very in a simple terms we will try to understand. Children, look at here. First here what we have to do, let us take a solid. So that should not dissolve in water. That is a condition, children. Let us take a solid here, children, and with the help of spring balance try to measure its weight. So let us say here W1 is a weight of the solid in air. Now same solid. So let us take here Eureka can, and here is a spout is provided. It's very important. Okay. So when the same solid is immersed in this water, immersed in this liquid, it's not only water, it might be any liquid. Then what happens, dear children? Obviously some amount of water is displaced. Okay, this water just you keep aside. Now try to measure the weight in this case. We will measure its weight as a W2. Children, it's very important. Now you tell me whether W1 will be greater or W2 will be greater. Obviously, dear children, W1 will be greater than W2. So, the weight of the solid in air is always greater than that of the weight of the solid in fluid. What is the reason? The reason is that buoyant force. So, when a body is immersed partially or wholly in a liquid, what happens, dear children? There will be a force will come into play which will try to lift the body vertically upwards, due to which what will happen? Its weight will become less actually. So, here buoyant force is the reason for the what we can say, the less weight of the body in a liquid. Then how to calculate that buoyant force, dear children? That buoyant force we can calculate Fb is equal to W1 minus W2. W1 minus W2. Children, what is Fb? Fb is a buoyant force acting on the solid which is immersed in a liquid. Now, dear children, another side, don't you think that some amount of water is displaced? Yes. So, what are the water which is displaced, dear children? Does it have some weight or not? Obviously, it has some weight. Obviously, it has some weight. And what we notice, what we notice, for example, I will tell you, if W1 is noticed as a 50 gram force, and W2 is, let us say it is a 30 gram force, then we will get it as 20 gram force. So, let us calculate here. So, W1 minus W2 is equal to how much, dear children? It is a 50 minus 30 is equal to 20 gram force. So, here buoyant force is equal to 20 gram force and the weight of the liquid displaced also 20 gram force. So, finally, what can we say? We can say that here Fb is equal to WL. Children, this is what actual Archimedes principle. That's it, over. This is called actually what? Archimedes principle. So, children, what is the Archimedes principle? How can we state that? It's very, very important. Children, when a body is immersed partially or wholly, children, it is not compulsory that body should be immersed completely. It is not at all that actually. Okay. So, when a body is immersed partially or wholly in a fluid, what happens? It experiences some buoyant force. That buoyant force is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by submerged part of it. It's very, very important. So, when a body is immersed partially or wholly in a liquid or fluid, what is happening? A body experiences an upward force which is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by the submerged part of it. That's it. Dear children, just copy this diagram, also very, very important. In exam, dear children, diagram will be given and they will ask you which principle do we verify by using this above arrangement setup, and state that principle also we can say it. Okay, dear children, fine, just you copy it. Children, now we will discuss one very, very, very important concept actually. Here it is given that, dear children, here is a solid of volume V and density rho is completely immersed in a liquid of density rho L. Then how to calculate the weight, how to calculate the upthrust, how to calculate the apparent weight, how to calculate the loss in weight of the birds. Very, very important. Children, first we will see how to calculate the weight. Children, we know the weight is equal to mg. But the concept of density, children, density of the solid is equal to mass of the density by volume. From this, can we write mass is equal to rho into V? Of course, we can write. Now you substitute this rho V in this case. So it will be rho Vg. That's it. This is how we can calculate the weight of the solid given. Now second thing is upthrust. Children, what is upthrust, dear children? Upthrust is equal to that volume of the immersed part of the solid and density of the liquid and G. But it is very, very important thing is that according to the Archimedes principle, we know that volume of the immersed part, especially in this case, is completely whole volume, right? Children, one very, very important thing is that especially in this case, volume of the immersed part is equal to capital V, because body is immersed completely. So in the place of Vi, we can take V. So it will be V rho G. Sorry, it is a rho V rho L G. Now how to calculate apparent weight? Apparent weight is equal to, children, weight of the solid minus buoyant force. Weight of the solid minus buoyant force. So it will be, what can we say? It will be rho Vg minus V rho Lg. So this, can we write like this? So here we can take G, V as a common. So here V rho minus rho L into G. So this is how we can calculate the apparent weight. Now dear children, loss in weight of the body. Loss in weight of the body, dear children, is equal to the buoyant force acting on the body, dear children, according to what? Archimedes principle. According to Archimedes principle, dear children, so the loss in weight of the body is equal to buoyant force. So that is how much, dear children, here? V rho L G. So this is how we can calculate. Just copy it, dear children. Next, we will discuss about density. Children, what is density? Density is defined as a mass per unit volume. That is mass by volume. Mass per unit volume actually. Means when you take a volume as 1 unit, then that mass only we can call it as a density. So mass per given unit volume is called actually density. Children, what are the units of density? Let us see SI units first. Let us see the SI units. In SI system, dear children, mass is measured in kg, whereas volume is measured in meter cube. So as density is mass per volume, its SI units, that is the density, is kg per meter cube. So children, kg per meter cube is a SI unit of the density. Whereas in a CGS system, dear children, in a CGS system, mass is measured in grams, whereas volume is measured in centimeter cube. Mass is measured in grams, whereas volume is measured in centimeter cube. Then what are the units of density? As it is a mass per volume, we can take it as a grams per centimeter cube. So for a density, the units are gram per centimeter cube. So it's very important. So kg per meter cube is a SI unit of density, whereas gram per centimeter cube is a CGS unit of the density. Now we will see how the SI units of density are related to the CGS units of density. Children, when we are doing the numericals, so it is very important to convert SI units of density to CGS units, whereas CGS units of density to SI units. So then we need to understand how kg per meter cube is related to the gram per centimeter cube. So children, when you want to understand the relation between these two, first we should know this one actually. What? 1 kg is equal to 1000 grams. 1 kg is equal to 1000 grams. Children, can we write it like this? 10 power 3 grams. So don't forget here, 1 kg is equal to 10 power cube grams, whereas 1 gram is equal to 1 by 10 power 3 kg. 1 by 10 power 3 kg. This is how kg and grams are related. Now, we know that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. This we can write as a 10 square centimeter, whereas 1 centimeter is equal to, dear children, we can write 1 by 10 square meter. So these two are very important in order to understand the relation between kg per meter cube to gram per centimeter cube. Now let us see, dear children. 1 gram per centimeter cube is equal to, children, in the place of gram, what I can write? We can write 1 by 10 power 3 kg, or even we can write 10 power minus 3 kg. This we can write as a 10 power minus 2 meters. So in the place of gram, I am going to write 10 power minus 3 kg. Whereas in the place of centimeter cube, dear children, 10 power minus 2 meter. But here centimeter cube is there. So we have to take 10 power minus 2 meter whole cube we have to take. Then it will be how much, dear children? 10 power minus 3 kg per 10 power minus 6 meter cube. Children, here 10 power minus 6 is taken to the numerator. It will become 10 power plus 6. So it will be 10 power minus 3 into 10 power 6 kg per meter cube. So children, as bases are same, power should be added. It's a minus 3 plus 6. It will become 10 power 3. So we get 1 gram per centimeter cube is equal to 10 power 3 kg per meter cube. So dear children, this is the final expression, very important. 1 gram per centimeter cube is equal to 10 power 3 kg per meter cube. Or we can write like this also even. Or what we can write? 1 kg per meter cube is equal to 10 power minus 3 gram per centimeter cube. Children, this is how SI units of density are related to the CGS units of density. Just copy it. Now we will discuss on which factors does the density depends. Children, it's very important. So what is the formula which we got here? Density is equal to, we got it is mass per volume. Mass per volume. So children, look at here, on which factor does it depend? Children, for a given volume, means for example here is a body A, let us take, here is a body B. Both are having same volume, let us say. So two cubes are taken, it is A, it is a B, but both are having same volume. But whereas its mass is 10 grams, whereas its mass is 5 grams. In both cases, volume is same. Then which body has more density? So obviously here body A is more denser than body B. So what we can conclude here? We can conclude that for a given volume, when a volume remains constant, density is directly proportional to the mass of the substance. So we can write like this. So density is directly proportional to the mass. But the condition is that what? Volume must remains constant. Now, we will see the next factor. Dear children, here, let us take here is body X. Its mass is 10 grams. The mass of the body X is 10 grams. And here, mass of the Y body also 10 grams only. Here, volume of this body is V1, whereas volume of this body is V2. Children, in which case the density will be more? Dear children, it is very clear that it is experimentally also proved that. For example, dear children, here for example 10 grams of iron, here 10 grams of cotton. So which one is more denser? Obviously here 10 grams of iron only more denser. Why? Mass is more but volume is less. So here we can say that, dear children, for a given mass, for a given amount of mass, density is inversely proportional. So for this, as volume is less, density will be more. Here volume is more, density will be less. So here what can we say here? Density is inversely proportional to the volume. Since here mass remains constant for a given mass. Here what happens? Density is inversely proportional to the volume. So it's very important. And other than this, dear children, mass and volume, density also depends on temperature. Now let us see how density depends. So let us see here, density versus temperature. It's very important. How density varies with the temperature. First of all, children, is there any relation between density and temperature directly? So directly, density is not related to the temperature. But dear children, okay, forget about this topic. Once let us recall the effect of heat. Dear children, what happens when you can provide some amount of heat to the substance? Then we have learned that substances expand on heating. So here what will happen, dear children? For suppose, let us take one object. One substance is taken. So if you provide some heat, let us say Q, then what will happen? Its temperature is increased or decreased? Obviously, temperature increases. Dear children, so during heating, what will happen? Substances will expand. It's very important. So when temperature rises, what will happen? Substance will expand. Children, expand means what? Its volume increases. Children, it's very important. So on heating, what will happen? The temperature of the substance is increasing, due to which what happens? Substance will expand. When substance will expand, what will happen, children? Its volume increases. But its volume increases, what will happen, dear children? Its volume increases. More the volume, less will be the density. So here what will happen? When volume increases, its density decreases. Children, it's very important. So here let me write here. So when temperature is raised, when temperature is increased, what is happening? Volume is increasing. When volume increases, what will happen? Density is decreasing. So here how can we make a relation? As density is inversely proportional to the volume, and volume is directly proportional to temperature, then we can make a relation between temperature and density. Temperature and density. So we can write like this also. Temperature is proportional to the volume, but volume is inversely proportional to the density. So now we will make direct relation between these two. It's very, very, very important. So we can say that here temperature is inversely proportional to the density of the substance. Children, this is very, very, very important conclusion. So this is how actually density of a given substance depends on temperature. So look at here. So there are three factors which we discuss on which actually density of the substance depends. First one is mass. So for a given volume, dear children, density is directly proportional to the mass. Means more the mass, more the density, less the mass, less the density. Whereas here, for a given mass, density is inversely proportional to the volume, which means what? More the volume, less the density, less the volume, more the density. Now one more very, very, very important factor is that temperature. Here what happens, dear children? When you can increase the temperature of a substance, it will expand. As it will expand, its volume increases. Its volume increases, its density decreases. So we can conclude that when we increase the temperature, the density of a substance decreases. Okay, children, copy it. Important. Relative density. Based on this, we can expect the numericals in exam. Relative density. So what is relative density? What are its units? We'll discuss. Relative density is defined as density of the substance, density of the water. But children, here one very, 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 very important thing. What is that? Density of water we must take at 4 degrees Celsius only. Then why we must consider density of water at 4 degrees Celsius only? Children, there is an importance is there. Children, at 4 degrees Celsius, children, we discussed in detail in heat chapter. The importance of 4 degrees Celsius. Children, at 4 degrees Celsius only, water has minimum volume. Children, water has minimum volume, whereas maximum density is very, very, very important. Maximum density. Children, what is the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius? So in a CJ system, its value is 1 gram per centimeter cube, whereas in SI system, the density of the water is 1000 kg per meter cube. 1000 kg per meter cube. It's very, very important. Okay, come back to this. So relative density is defined as the ratio of density of the substance by density of the water at 4 degrees Celsius. Children, what are its units? Let us see its units. Children, it's very, very, very important. Children, don't you think that it is a ratio between two physical quantities? Same physical. Children, many students, they'll be saying like this. So what are the units of density? Of course, generally there are no units of relative density. But when we ask students, they'll be telling that because it is a ratio. So that there are no units. Children, it is wrong. You see, even density also ratio only, right? Density also ratio only, but it has a units. So you cannot say that because it is a ratio. No, rather what we should say, children, because it is a ratio between same two physical quantities. So it is a density only, So in SI system, it is a kg per meter cube by kg per meter cube. So both will get cancelled. So then what are the units, dear children, for relative density? There are no units. For relative density. Purely it is a number. Only. It's very, very, very important. Now we will discuss the relative density of a given solid. How can we calculate the relative density of a given solid? So it's very, very important, and I can say that here it is a, it's application part of Archimedes principle. Just it is a continuation as we discussed already. It is a application. Children, what is Archimedes principle? When a body is immersed partially or wholly in a fluid, it experiences an upward force which is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced. Okay, children, fine. Now let us come to the, so what is the relative density? Children, suppose it is a substance, it is a solid whose relative density to be calculated. Okay, na? It has some mass, it's a mass, it has some weight, that is Ws. Okay children, fine. Now from the definition of relative density children, relative density is equal to density of solid, children, density of solid by density of water. Okay, let us write here 4 degrees Celsius only. But dear children, can we write like this? Density of a solid is equal to mass of the solid per volume, whereas density of water is equal to mass of the water per volume. Children, for a unit value means volume remains same. So here what can we write here? We can say it is the mass of the solid by volume and mass of the water by volume. Children, here volume gets cancelled. So it will be what here children? Mass of the solid and here mass of the water for a given volume, don't forget that. But dear children, from the concept of weight, W is equal to, we know that is a mg. So from this we can write M is equal to W by G. Can we write? Of course we can write. Now apply this formula for solid. So then we will get weight of the solid by acceleration due to gravity, and here weight of the water by G. So G gets cancelled. So here we get Ws by W water. Here you may get one doubt, sir. Ws means weight of the solid, but W water means what we should take? Children, as I told you that it is a solid of mass ms. So when it is immersed in a liquid, what happened? Some amount of water is displaced. So this is the weight of that water displaced. So what are the water which is displaced, children? So this is the weight of that water here. Okay children. So here it is weight of the solid by weight of the water displaced. But dear children, according to Archimedes principle, the weight of the water displaced is equal to buoyant force. So here I can write here Ws by Fb, that is buoyant force. But dear children, then how to calculate buoyant force? Let us recall the discussion just we had. Children, here let us say here is, for example, with the help of spring balance, initially we will measure the weight of the solid. Let us say it is a W1. Children, here Ws we can write as a W1. W is what? Weight of the solid in air only, right? So in the place of Ws we are writing W1 only. So when this solid is immersed in a water, of course some amount of water is displaced, and we have to measure the weight of the solid in water. So W2 will be the weight of the solid in water. So it's very clear that W2 is less than that of the W1. W1 is a weight of the solid in air, whereas W2 is the weight of the solid in liquid. Then why W2 is less than that of the W1, dear children? Because of buoyant force. Then how to calculate the buoyant force? Already we discussed. So children, buoyant force we can calculate like this: W1 minus W2. This is how actually we can calculate. Now you substitute here. So when you substitute here, W1 by it is W1 minus W2. So finally we got relative density of solid is equal to W1 by it is W1 minus W2. Children, for the sake of exam, so for examination point of view, if you can remember this formula is enough. Relative density of a given liquid. Children, initially what we have to do, look at here. Dear children, initially let us take one solid and which should not dissolve either in water and liquid whose relative density which we are going to calculate. So initially let us measure the weight of the solid in air. So let it be as a W1. Now dear children, what we will do is that immerse the same solid in water. And calculate the weight. So we will measure it as a W2. Children, W1 is the weight of the solid in air, whereas W2 is the weight of the solid in water. Now it is immersed in a given liquid. Children, liquid means what? Other than water. Now it is immersed in a given liquid. Then measure its weight again. Let us say it is a W3. Children, it's very important. Look at here. Initially, what we have to do here, we have to calculate the weight of a solid, might any solid, but the condition is that solid should not dissolve in water and in a given liquid. So first measure the weight of the solid in air, that is a W1, and next measure the weight of the solid in a water, and then measure the weight of the solid in a liquid. And in addition, it is a W2. So W2 is obviously less than that of W1, and W3 also even less than that of W1. So dear children, what we will be getting this one, W1 minus W2. So W1 minus W2 is nothing but the buoyant force in water. Buoyant force in water. Whereas dear children here, W1 minus W3 is what? Weight of the solid in air minus weight of the solid in a liquid. So this will be the buoyant force in a given liquid. So then we can calculate relative density of liquid is equal to buoyant force in a given liquid, that is W1 minus W3 by buoyant force in a water, that is W1 minus W2. So children, this is how we can calculate the relative density of a liquid. Dear children, in exam, W1 value will be given, W2 will be given, W3 is given. So we have to calculate the relative density. Okay, dear children, this is how we can calculate the relative density of a solid and here relative density of a liquid. Now we will do a few numericals. Right, we will do one example. Dear children, so it is given that the density grams per centimeter cube, 8.33 grams per centimeter cube. Then calculate the relative density of copper. So how to calculate? Let us take relative density formula. Relative density of copper is equal to density of copper by density of water, but don't forget at 4 degrees Celsius. Children, we know that density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is 1 gram per centimeter cube. Now let us substitute here. So density of copper is given how much? It is 8.33 grams per centimeter cube by 1 gram per centimeter cube. Children, centimeter cube. Gram per centimeter cube will get cancelled. Then relative density of copper is equal to how much, dear children? 8.33. Children, this is how we can calculate the relative density when density of that substance is given. Relative density of mercury is equal to 13.6. Then calculate the relative density, calculate the density of mercury. Then let us recall the relation between density and relative density. Children, we know that relative density of a substance is equal to density of that substance by density of water. So from this, can we write like this? Density of substance, that is density of mercury, is equal to relative density of mercury into density of water at 4 degrees Celsius. So children, now relative density is given how much? 13.6. That is 13.6. And density of water is how much? 1 gram per centimeter cube. So this will be 1 gram per centimeter cube. So density of mercury is equal to 13.6 gram per centimeter cube. Children, this is how we can calculate. Children, density of mercury is equal to 13.6 into 1000. So it will be how much? It will be 13600 kg per meter cube. So this is how we can calculate the relative density of a given substance, and even we can calculate the density of a given substance. So next example 3, children. So it is given that weight of the solid 10 gram force when it is immersed completely, 2 gram force. It is, let us say it's a some 8 gram force. Then find the relative density of that particular substance. Children, first two examples we calculated the density of a substance when relative density is given, but in this numerical relative density is not given. Only weight of the solid in air is given and weight of the solid in water is given. Children, we have formula already we discussed. What is that? Relative density of a solid is equal to W1 by W1 minus W2. So here this will be W1 and this will be what actually it is a W2. Now let us substitute in this. We will get it is 10 by 10 minus 8. So this will be 10 by 2. So it will be 5. Children, now we will discuss principle of flotation. Teacher, before going to that, let us recall once what happens when a body is immersed in a fluid. What will happen, teacher? When a body is immersed in a fluid, it is exerted by two types of forces. Two kinds of forces will be acting on the body which is immersed in a fluid. What are those? One is weight of the body. Children, it's very important. One is weight will be acting, and second one is what actually? Buoyant force will be acting. Buoyant force will be acting. Dear children, then this weight will be acting, dear children. Weight always will be acting at center of gravity. At center of gravity of the solid. At the center of gravity of the solid and vertically downwards. Vertical downwards. Children, it's very important. This is how actually weight will act. Children, weight of the body will act at the center of gravity vertically downwards. And dear children, here this weight will try to immerse the body, will try to sink the body. It's very important. And next force, what is that acting, dear children? Buoyant force, upward force, buoyant force. This is also called an upthrust. Buoyant force for force of buoyancy. Let us say it's FB. So where this buoyant force will act, dear children? Buoyant force exactly will act at center of buoyancy. At center of buoyancy, vertically upwards. Vertically upwards. This is how actually buoyant force will act. Children, it's very important. Weight of the body will act at the center of gravity vertically downwards. It will try to sink the body. Whereas buoyant force will be acting at center of buoyancy vertical upwards. Then what this buoyant force will do? It will try to make the body to float. It will try to make the body to float. And here you may get one doubt. Sir, what is center of buoyancy? Children, it's very important. What is center of buoyancy? Children, for suppose here is a liquid. It's a completely filled. It is a completely filled. In this, if this body is going to be immersed, don't you think this amount of portion water will be displaced? So this portion of water will be displaced, right? This portion, only water I am talking about, this portion of water, children. So this portion of water is going to be displaced, by this submerged part of the solid. So whatever the water which is displaced, children, it has some center of gravity, right? So that only we can call it as a center of buoyancy. So center of gravity of the liquid displaced, is called center of buoyancy. Children, weight of the body will act at center of gravity. Next one, buoyant force will act at center of buoyancy. It's very important. Now children, look at here. So how to calculate the weight? So we know that weight formula, W is equal to mg. But from the definition of density, dear children, density is equal to mass per volume. From this we can write mass is equal to dV. Children, we can represent the density with rho. Don't get confused. Rho also we use to represent density only. So rho is equal to mass per volume. So mass is equal to rho into V. So here you can write. So what do we get here? W is equal to rho Vg. This is weight of the solid. Then how to calculate buoyant force, dear children? So we know that already we discussed buoyant force is equal to what, dear children, here? Volume of the body immersed, and density of the liquid and G. Density of the liquid and G. It's very important. Now dear children, when the body will sink, when the body will float, and when the body will just float, it's very important. So on what base we can say that body will be sinking and body will be floating? Children, here we have three important cases. Let us see that three cases. Case 1. Children, here we have three cases. Look at here. This is the first case. So what happens when a weight of the solid is more than that of the buoyant force? Then body will sink. Then what happens if a weight of the body is less than that of the buoyant force? Then children, here body will float. But the children, look at this condition here. Weight of the body is equal to the buoyant force. Children, it is also floating case only, but we can say just a floating case. Means the surface of the solid coincides with the surface of the water. Almost this is a case of what is in icebergs. See, almost icebergs, they are not seen. Almost maximum part is immersed inside of the water. Little bit portion will be floating. So, children, there are the three cases where body will sink, body will float. This is, we can say it's a just floating. We can call it a just float. Just float. The children, even we can discuss in terms of density also. Children, so this we can discuss. See, already we got W and FB. So, here it is rho Vg, it is a VI rho Lg. So, in terms of that also, what can we say, here density of the solid is greater than the density of liquid. Density of the liquid, then body will sink. Here if density of the solid is less than the density of the liquid, then what will happen? Body will float. If density of the solid is equal to density of the liquid, then it will be just floating. Am I clear? It's fine. But children, just let me know one thing. What is the weight of the floating body? It's very, very, very important. So, what happens if weight of the body is equal to the, buoyant force? So, as we discussed that when a weight of the body is equal to the buoyant force, body will be floating. So, when the body will be floating, dear children, with the help of spring balance, if you try to measure that floating body, you will find its weight will be 0. Means what? The apparent weight of the body, the apparent weight of the floating body is 0. Children, it's very, very, very important. Let me write here. Apparent, it's very, 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 very important. It's very, very, very important. Children, let us recall the concept of once again Archimedes principle. Dear children, according to Archimedes principle, we know that the buoyant force acting on a body when it is immersed partially or wholly is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced. Am I right? Yes, it's the weight of the liquid displaced. But buoyant force means we calculated like this. Once recall, FB is equal to W1 minus W2. But children, what is W2? Weight of the body, weight of the floating body when it is immersed. But here in the case of floating body, apparent weight, that is the weight when it is floating in a water or a liquid, what will happen? Its weight is 0. So, W2 is going to be 0. So, can we write like this directly? FB is equal to the W1. Of course, we can write FB is equal to W1. You substitute here. So, dear children, it is W1 is equal to WL. So, here weight of the floating body is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced. So, this is, we can call it as a principle of flotation. But dear children, how to calculate the weight of the solid? So, we know that, dear children, W is equal to mg. We know that W is equal to mg. But how can we write mass? Mass can be written as the product of density and volume. So, this can be density of solid because it is the mass of the solid, weight of the solid. So, density of the solid into volume of the solid into G means total volume. Children, it's a total volume. Then how can we calculate weight of the liquid? Weight of the liquid, children, come on, this side let us calculate. So, weight of the liquid is equal to mass of the liquid into G. That's it. Then mass also can be expressed in terms of density and volume, right? Yes, we can. So, it will be density of the liquid and volume of the liquid and G. Okay. Now, substitute Ws and WL value in this. So, what will happen? Children, W1 is nothing but Ws only. Again, don't get confused. W1 is what? Weight of the solid only. So, it is rho S Vs G is equal to rho L VL, it is G. Children, what is VL? It is not a total volume of the water taken. No, it is volume of the liquid displaced. But children, according to the Archimedes principle, children, the volume of the body immersed equal to volume of the liquid displaced. It's very, very important. Volume of the body immersed, volume of the solid immersed equal to volume of the liquid displaced. So, in the place of VL, now we can write VI. We can write. Children, here G get cancelled. So, here rho S Vs. So, Vs means what? It's a whole volume of the solid. So, we don't write every time S only. So, it is a capital S we will write is equal to density of liquid and it is volume of the immersed part. So we will use a small v. Small v represent what, children? Volume of the immersed part of the solid. So it will be small v. So from this we can write here small v by capital V is equal to rho L by rho S. Rho L by. So this is volume fraction. Children, it's very important relation. With this only now we are going to solve few numericals. Okay children, just copy it. Now we will do few example numericals based on this formula. Important, it's a example one, we'll see. Here given that, children, here is water, in which a body is immersed, children, in which body is immersed such a way that, children, look at here, such a way that 2 by 3, see 2 by 3rd of volume is immersed. 2 by 3rd of volume of the solid is immersed in a water. Then find the density of the solid. We have to calculate the density of the solid. Density of the solid to be calculated. So here nothing is given. Only it is given that volume of the immersed part and density of the water, we know that. What is the density of water, children? So density of water, can we write it as a density of liquid? We can write it will be 1 gram per centimeter cube. Then we have to calculate the density of solid. Children, let us calculate the, before going to calculate, let us assume that V be the total volume of the solid. Children, it's very important. So V be the total volume of solid. Then what is 2 by 3? It is a immersed part. Means 2 by 3rd of V. So it's very important. So small v is given 2 by 3rd of V. It's very important, children. So volume of the immersed part of solid is how much? 2 by 3rd of whole volume. Children, before only we discussed according to the principle of flotation, children, we got this formula. What is that here? Density of solid by density of liquid is equal to small v by capital V. So here we need to calculate rho S. Let us write the formula for rho S. So it will be rho S is equal to rho L into small v by capital V. Now let us substitute here. Rho L is what? 1 gram per centimeter cube. Let us say it's 1 gram per centimeter cube. Small v is 2 by 3rd of V, children. So it is a V only. So here V gets cancelled. So children, 2 by 3 is how much? It is approximately 0.6666. So we can write 0.667 gram per centimeter cube. So this is the density of a solid. Children, this is how we can calculate when volume of the immersed part is given. Sometimes volume of the immersed part won't be given. Then how to calculate? Now let us see that. Now in this case this is the immersed part, but that volume is not known. It is given that it is given, for example, 2 by 5th of its volume is floating above the water. So it's very important and interesting also. So 2 by 5th volume of the body is floating above the water. Then we have to calculate the same thing, density of the solid. Let us take the same formula, children. What is that here? Density of solid by density of liquid is equal to volume of the immersed part by whole volume. So from this, rho S is equal to volume of the immersed part by total volume into density of the liquid. But here problem is that V value is not known. V is what actually? Volume of the immersed part. Then how to calculate it, children? So total volume is V. The volume which is floating above the water is 2 by 5. Then subtract. That's it. So simple. So total volume V minus 2 by 5th of V. Then how much do we get? We will get 3V by 5. 3V by 5. That's it. Now you can substitute as it is. We will get that. So it will be small v is 3V by 5 by V will be there as it is, and into rho L is what, children? 1 gram per centimeter cube. Here V gets cancelled. It will be 3 by 5 gram per centimeter cube. This only we can write as a 0.6 gram per centimeter cube. Children, if you want density value in SI system, multiply with 1000, you will get R 0.6 into 1000. How much children it is? 600 kg per meter cube. So this is how we can calculate the density of a given solid. Children, they are the two cases which we discussed. When volume of the immersed part is given, how to calculate the density, whereas volume of the what we can say volume of the body which is floating above the water, if it is given, how to calculate. Okay children, just copy it. Children, now we will discuss one very important thing is that, so it's very clear to us, we all know well known that, children, iron nail sinks in water, but whereas the ship made up of with iron cannot sink, it will be nicely floating. What is the reason, dear children? So when this question is given, many children will be writing in terms of density. As the density of iron nail is more than that of water, so it will sink. So the density of the iron ship is less. No children, you cannot write like that. So let me tell you here, very important. So we know that here, for example, let us take a ship. So most of the ship, dear children, it is hollow. Am I right? As it is a hollow means what will happen? It is filled with air. It's very important. It's filled with air. So when it is filled with air, what will happen? Its average density will become less. Children, we have to talk about average density. It's very important. You have to talk about average density of the ship. Very important. So as the ship is hollow and filled with air, so due to which what happens? Its average density will become less than that of what? Water. So as average density of the ship is less than that of the density of water, so it will be floating. This is what actually you have to write in exam. Okay children, last point in this session which we are going to discuss, very important, it is what? It's a flotation of iceberg. What is iceberg, dear children? Huge amount of ice which is floating in the ocean, seas, we can call it as an iceberg, dear children. It's very important. And dear children, I think you might have heard somewhere else regarding the Titanic tragedy. I can say that because of this only. So because of this means what? It's a flotation of iceberg only. Children, it's too difficult to estimate the size of the iceberg above the water and size of the iceberg below the water. Now let us see what happened. Children, just you think whether the iceberg will float or not. I can say it's a just float. Why? What is the reason? Almost the density of iceberg is equal to the density of water. Of course, sea water means approximately 1.02. Almost it is near to one value only. Now let us try to calculate what is the portion of the iceberg is immersed in a sea water and what is the portion of the iceberg which is floating above the water, we will see. Children, according to the principle of flotation, we know this. Density of solid by density of liquid is equal to immersed part of solid by total volume. Children, here solid means what? Here ice only. Liquid means what? Here water only. Now what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the V value. We have to calculate means what is the volume of the iceberg which is immersed in water is very important. So from this we can say small v is equal to here rho ice by rho water into capital V. So rho ice is equal to how much, dear children? 0.917. 0.917 by 1 of V. So it will be 0.917 into V. Dear children, if you want to express in terms of ratio, what percentage, we have to multiply with 100. Then V is equal to, we'll get 91.7 percentage of V. Children, look at here, it's very important. Means if you can take here is ocean, dear children, so it looks like this. So this will be like this, but here inside, look at here. So this is what actually, so this is completely the immersed, the volume of the immersed part of the iceberg is how much, dear children? 91.7 percentage. 91.7 percentage means what is the portion of the iceberg which is seen above the water, dear children? So this is a portion of the iceberg. So this will be how much, dear children? It will be 8.3 percentage only approximately. Now just think about the situation. So here if any ship is going near this, dear children, what happens? So it cannot estimate the size, so it will be going towards. So this person, who is like running the ship, he can thinks that okay, I can cross iceberg, but he cannot see this which is like inside. So what will happen? Here it may go and it may hit the iceberg. So with that, damage will be there. So due to which what will happen? So there will be a problem also, dear children. So this is how actually we can calculate the volume of the immersed part of the iceberg. Immersed part of the iceberg. Still, once again, I am saying you, almost 91.7% of ice is immersed in water. Just 8.3% only it is the same. Okay, children. So this is what actually in a shortcut in a one session only we discussed. Children, what is? Let us recall once again what we have discussed. So we discussed what is upthrust and its units, and on which factor does it depend. Then we discuss Archimedes principle. After that, density, relative density, and finally we discussed about principle of flotation. Thank you so much. All the very best.